All right, good day again, guys. With our structure now built, the structure is now complete, but some finishing touches are still required in terms of there are no fixtures in the bathroom, the kitchen, the washroom, stuff like that. And so in this tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to insert fixtures in your 3D building. For clarity though, I'm going to go ahead and turn off our roof layers. Select from our home. Let's go to our layers manager. And I'm going to be turning off our A roof, which is our pitched roof, and our A roof slab. Alright. Alright, with those layers off, I'm going to be zooming in on this particular bathroom because I'm going to be installing fixtures there. Let me just orbit this as well so that we can realize that what is being done on 2D is actually being represented also in 3D. Alright, so let me just orbit that just a bit. Alright, to install fixtures, what you want to do is you want to go insert, and from your content browser, so let's go over to content browser. We go content browser again. We want to go design tool, metric, and we want to be installing some bathroom fixtures. So let's go and open up our bathroom fixtures. Let's go in for a bath. So I double click to open bath. Incidentally, there is only one there, but you would have to go to the internet and download others. But I'm just going to be working with this one. It works just fine for me. So again, I press on this blue and pull it to your screen. When you release, the bath would have been there. Let me just drop it here and give an escape. Now you make a determination as to the orientation of your bath. Where would your pipes be? In my case, I'm going to be putting my fixtures along this wall, and so I would prefer for the drain to be at this end. And so from my home, I go modify, and I'm going to do an orbit. Or a rotate rather. I select my object, give enter. Perhaps from somewhere inside here, I pull down. Alright. Then I'm going to be moving it. Enter. I'm going to be holding it in this corner here because I want to fit that corner in this corner. So there you would have had a bath installed. We could check in terms of the properties if that bath perhaps you would prefer for 1800 baht, 6 feet. So let's change that to perhaps 6 feet, 1800, and that bath would have been a little bit longer. Alright. In a similar way, we would go back to our content browser, back to our bathroom, and we're going to be bringing out a toilet. So let's open toilet, and they're all boring, but I'm going to be going for this one. So let's pull that to the screen, release. There's a toilet, and let's drop it here, give an escape, and it needs to be rotated. Alright, so it's as simple as that. Installing fixtures in your 3D building, it's just as simple as dragging and dropping them there. Let's do a rotate. Hold it, ensuring that my ortho is on so it rotates in a perfectly perpendicular way. I'm going to be moving it closer to my wall. That seems fine. And also I'm going to be moving it again a little closer to the bath, leaving enough space for at least a double sink. If you notice, the toilet comes with two dots to the left and the right, indicating that no other fixture, should be placed within that area. Now I'm going to be bringing out a face basin. So again, I go back to my catalog. I'm going back to the bathroom list, and I want basin. So let's double click, and I'm going to be using the vanity type. So let me pull that on. Drop it, escape, and again it needs to be rotated. So let's rotate, select, click. Alright, I'm going to be moving it, and I would want for this corner here to be in this corner here. Alright, now all is needed here now is to give a copy. I select, and again I want for this end here to be copied right here, thereby doubling my face basin. That bathroom is pretty much in order. Double face basin, a toilet, and a double sink. Alright, so that bathroom would now be ready. We could also attach towel rails and all of that for accessories, you know, but for now I'm just going to be content with this setup. Alright, now there is another bathroom over here, however, which is a master bathroom, and again what I'm just going to be doing is to copy. So let me copy, no need to go reinstall. Let me just copy my bath over here, and I think I'm going for a different orientation, however. So let me give a rotate. I'm going to be rotating this bath so that I can position it. I want this corner here in this corner. That should give me enough room here to put, and I'm going to be reducing this bath again back to perhaps a 1700 so that I could have enough room to put a standing shower in this corner here. So let me go ahead and reduce this back to a 1700 standard size, and thereby creating enough room for a standing shower. Let me go back into my catalog, and I'm going back to my bathroom set here because I'm going to look for a shower. Here, the shower, and I prefer this 3D shower with the seat. So let me pull that out, drag it, and I'm going to be dropping it on my screen here. I'm going to be rotating it and fitting it in this corner here. So let me do a rotate, turn it in this position. Well, let me check though the space that this bath has to fit, because this bath has 3 feet width. So let me check what width I actually have. So I'm going to go annotate. I'm going to ensure that I'm using my dim 50 that I had created, mark dim 50. Here it is. Alright, and I want to do a dim, and I want to check the space from this point to this point. 1150. So let me select that, and I'm going to be changing my width, my Y factor from 900 to 1150, and that should give me a shower wide enough for that space. I'm just going to be tucking that in there. So let me do home and go move. I'm going to move it, holding it by this point here, and I'm going to be placing that right there. Nice fit. Let me just remove this. Alright, so there you would have had a bath and a standing shower. If you prefer the jacuzzi type arrangement, then again, that's up to you and the client. Alright. Well, all that's missing now, and I still need bath, I still need face basins, and I still need lavatory basins. So let me just go ahead and copy this WC water closet, drop it here. I'm gonna give a rotate. But again, the bathroom arrangement would be something to be determined between the client, because the client has that say. I'm just going ahead and doing basic arrangements, but the final say would be the client. So the architect would have discussions, you know, with the client in terms of a bathroom arrangement. Alright, so what I'm just doing here are just basic bathroom layout, not necessarily that this would be the one that maintains. Let me just put my face basins here for argument's sake. and perhaps move them away from the corner a bit, perhaps leaving space for a bin or some, but then that could have been that bathroom layout. Alright, so there you'd have had both bathrooms being laid out, and again we could come over on the 3D side and have a look at the bathroom layout. Alright. With the bathroom complete, we now move around to the kitchen area. We're going to be installing some cupboards and some basic appliance as it relates to stoves and refrigerators, stuff like that. Alright. Now the first thing I'm going to be installing or laying are the base cupboards. Alright. To do that, I go back into my content browser and let's go back to the catalog tab, because now I'm going to be working on my kitchen fixtures. Alright, so let's go kitchen, and I'm going to be selecting for my 2 feet cupboard, 600 millimeters deep. So let's go ahead and open that. And the first cupboard I normally install would be my corner cupboard, if there is going to be one. And I'm going to be using one in this corner here. So let me drop one, say here. Alright, now the orientation is off, so let me do a rotation, and I'm going to be rotating that about 180 degrees. Alright, let's zoom in on that area on this side so we can actually see that it's happening. Alright, now alright, so now I'm going to be moving my counter or my cupboard to this corner. Alright, there it is, rather boring, but a representation of a cupboard. I'm going to be needing a straight piece to be connected to this here. So let's go back into my cupboards and let's check another page. See if I could get a larger one, and let me pull this one out. I'd rather this over this based on the fact that this one at least has drawers on it, this one doesn't. Alright, so let's pull that out, release, and drop it. Alright, it needs to be rotated, so let's rotate that. Give an enter and rotate it 90 degrees, and I'm going to be moving this corner into this, so let's do a move this corner and place it here. Now again, the cupboard I have brought out is a little bit small for this space. Even though we don't want the cupboard to go the entire way to the door, could have been a little bit larger. And so I'm going to be checking on the size of this cupboard. It's 1500 in length, and the space that I have, let's go annotate and let's check the space. The space that this cupboard could be is 2350, and we wouldn't want it going all the way though, but at least 2050, leaving at least a foot from the door. So I'm going to be going with 2050 as the length. 2050. If I enter, it extends it but in the wrong direction, so I'm going to be moving it back from this end back to that end. Alright, leaving just a little space there. Over on the 3D side, I know you're saying that this cupboard has no lid. Yeah, that's fine. We're going to be installing our own lid. Alright, in this area here, I'm going to be putting my stove, and again, just like the bathroom, the kitchen arrangement or the kitchen layout is usually the prerogative of the client, not necessarily the architect. Yes, so we can merely make suggestion, but the final say ultimately resides with the client. If you could realize though what I was saying about the window in my earlier tutorial about not having the window coming all the way down to the cupboard, now that's a perfect example of what I was saying displayed right there. Alright, so I'm going to be going back to my content browser because I'm now going to be bringing out appliance. So let's get back to kitchen fittings, and I now need some appliances. Alright, let's pull my stove out. Let's drop that. Alright, let's check the dimensions. Seems a puny stove, so let's perhaps make it a little bit bigger. In terms of its depth, 500. I'm going to go with a 600. In terms of its width, 2 feet. I'm going to go with 2 feet 6 inches. Let's go for 750. Alright, I'm not going to mess with the height. Then I'm going to do a rotate, put in the backsplash to the wall. So let's do a rotate in 180 degrees. And I'm going to be moving that right now, holding it here, and I'm going to be pasting it here. Now, that's not how it's going to be anyhow, because I'm going to be copying another L counter, because I realize I have room here for another L counter. So let me go ahead and copy this one, and I'm going to be copying it down. It's incorrectly oriented, so let me do a rotation, and I'm going to be rotating it about 90 degrees. Alright, let me move that and fit that into space. Alright, now there now is formed a space between my stove and the counter here. So what I'm going to be doing is to center the stove in that space. So I'm going to be moving, holding it at this point, and I'm going to be pasting it mid between this point and this point. My stove is now centered. Now that's a little bit tricky. I would have to demonstrate that to you another time. What I've done, however, is to have two little spaces as opposed to one big space on one side. I have divided that space. I'm going to be putting in what we call some fillers in these spaces. Alright. Before that, however, I'm going to be dropping another piece of counter here, because this space here is a bit wasted. So let me go back into my fittings, my cupboards, and I'm just going to find this one here. Alright, there are some fillers there, but I'm just going to be using this. Alright, let's drop that. Let's now find out the spacing that I need for that to fit. So let's do an annotate, and let's check the space between the cupboard and the stove. Comes out at 5 inches, 125. I'm just going to be using up 100 out of that. So I'm going to be making my cupboard be 100 wide. By doing so, I would still leave space. I would have a 1-inch space between stove and cupboard. Let me do a rotate. And now I'm going to be moving that, holding it here, and I'm going to be pasting it here. Alright, there you would realize that there is a space still left. I'm going to be copying that to the other side, so let's copy that. I'm going to be holding it here, and I'm going to be pasting it here. Again, I have equal space on that side, looking rather snuggy. Alright, there's still a space here, like I was saying, that to be filled. So let's get back in here, and let me take out this 2-door cupboard, and let's drop that here. Alright, again, let's check the space. I would want it from here to here, 974. Again, I would want to stop it perhaps a foot away from the opening, so I'm going to go with even though we could shift this opening a little bit, I'm going to go with 900. I'm going to go with 900. Alright, and so I select my counter, and from my properties I'm going with 900. Alright, that has been reduced. Let me remove this, delete, and I'm going to be rotating my counter. Select and give a rotate 180, and let's move, holding it here and positioning that right there. I'm left with a little space, but I'm not too concerned that that space might be too tiny, because I think when I've dropped the refrigerator, I'm still gonna be able to shift this arch a little bit. Notwithstanding that, I can always go back and reduce that to perhaps 800 if space is still a problem there. All right. I'm going to now bring out a refrigerator and then a sink. I think that would work for now. So let me go back. I'm going back into my kitchen fittings. I'm going in appliances because I need a refrigerator. So let's pull that one out. Alright, now that fridge is rather tiny. Again, let's check its specs. 540. Well, let's go with 600, 2 feet. 600 wide. Let's go with a 750, matching the stove. And the height we will keep. Alright, let's give it. And let's move this. And I'm gonna move it. I don't want it actually hitting or connecting to a wall. I want for there to be space, and so I did not actually hold it. I could even move it away and perhaps enclose that refrigerator in a cupboard or something along this wall here. Alright, but again, I'm just doing basic layout. Final layout is determined by the client, so I'm just doing something that actually works. I'm going to be copying this cupboard, however, because there is a space beside this door. Let me have a look. Let me rotate this, and I'm going to be moving it upwards beside my sink. Let's move it towards the wall here. And I think I'd better if I move this back down, giving more space here. We could even reduce this. Alright, let's go with 600, 2 feet, and let's drop that there. Alright, giving you better access towards the door. Alright, so now the kitchen would basically have its layout. Alright, furnitures have been installed, appliances have been installed. Yeah. I know you're saying that the kitchen, well, the counter is a bit tacky. Something's not right. Now I'm going to be first installing the sink, and then I'm going to be putting a lid, so to speak, on our kitchen counter. Alright, so let me go back to our content browser, and in kitchen fittings, I'm going for sink. And let me choose this double sink. Let me pull it out. Let me drop it, and then do a rotate of it. Alright, so let's rotate. Let's rotate that. Alright, we want to be manual. We want to be positioning that over the sink. So let's do a move. Let's drop that there. And let's also move it center the window, perhaps there. Alright, so there we would have had our sink, fridge, stove in that triangular motion. You would have noticed also that the sink has fallen to the floor. Alright, now before bringing that up, let us put a counter on this sink. Now, what is happening here is that by default, AutoCAD has given us counters that has heights of 700 millimeters, 870 millimeters. I'm sorry. So the height of these counters are actually 870 millimeters. We're going to be putting slab tops on them, so that we could convert these into marble or granite or stone finish, whatever the look you would want. So what we're going to be doing is to installing slabs on these countertops. To do that, I'm going into my roof slab, because what I'm actually doing, I'm treating the counters as if they were buildings, and so I'm going to be putting roofs on these counters. Alright, so I'm going back for roof, and I'm going for roof slab. Alright, notice that the roof slab automatically comes back on. We'll isolate that in a little bit. Now in my properties, I'm going to be making some settings. For example, the thickness of the slab, I'm going for 2 inches, 50 millimeters. Alright, the base height. Now, like I said, the height of the counter is 870 plus our thickness of 50 millimeters brings our height to 920. Alright, overhang, none. We'd rather do that manually, and our slope is 0 because we want our kitchen counter to be perfectly flat. Alright, so with that, I'm going to be selecting all around my counter. They are in pieces, so let's do this one first. Back to here, back to here, back to here, and back to where we started. If I enter, and I'm also going to be doing this piece as well, which starts here, and back to here, back to here, back to here, around the entire perimeter of each cupboard, back to here. If I enter, and there's one final one over here, let's go get that one, back to this one, back to this one, back to this one, and back to this one. Give an enter and an enter, and the countertops would have been installed. Alright, now you would want them to have overhang though, just not on all sides, and that is why we indicated not to give overhang, because we didn't want overhang going all the way around. So what we're going to be doing is to select it and grab our handles here, pull away and say 2 inches 50, give an enter, overhang on this side as well of 50, give an enter, overhang on this side again of 50, give an enter. You wouldn't want any on this side, so let's move to our next counter. 50 away from that side, 50 along the front here, give an enter, perhaps another 50 here. Alright, and our final count over on this side, let's give a 50 in this direction. Let's also give a 50 on this side. Alright, and there you'd have had the counters in place. Let me isolate the slab roof though, so that you are able to see what's happening on the inside. To do that, I'm going to select on the slab, I give a right click, I go up to isolate object, and I say hide this object. There it would have hidden the roof slab, now causing me to see the slab work we have just installed. Alright, so there you would have had the kitchen laid out. I know the sink is still on the floor, I heard you. We're going to be bringing the sink to that elevation now as the slab work. Now remember that the slab work has a height of 870 plus 50 millimeters, and so we are going to be selecting the sink, and from the properties we're going to be changing its elevation from 0 to 920. That should bring the sink from the floor up towards the concrete. Again, I know the concrete is still showing inside the sink because we didn't put a hole for the sink to be fitted. Alright, now what we're going to be doing is to install a hole or insert a hole in this concrete area for the sink to fit. I'm just going to be using a rectangle, but the thing is, oh my, I've started my rectangle. Let's go again. We have to be careful not to make the rectangle visible. Alright, and so I'm going to be making a rectangle which hides itself just behind the sink here. So let me turn my snap off so that I can get between these walls here. Notice where my rectangle is running between the sink right there, and I'm going to be keeping it as well between these lines, because that's about the size of the hole that would have been in the slab anyhow for the kitchen sink to rest in. Alright, now what we want to do is to subtract that hole from the slab, and so I select the slab, and up on my modify I'm now allowed to put a hole, and I'm going to be adding a hole. When AutoCAD prompts me to select the polyline, then I go and I select this polyline as my hole. I give an enter. AutoCAD asks if it wants me to erase the geometry. I'm going to say yes, and the sink would have now been displayed. Let's give an escape, and let's zoom in to see what has actually happened. Alright, there you'd have had your sink cut out, and all of that is nicely done. Let's have a one look in a realistic, see what that would come out looking like. Let's see what's up with that. My machine is not very hot in terms of a realistic. Even if I try to orbit, what you might find happening is that the entire thing might disappear. Alright, perhaps your machine might give you better view of the building. Alright, I'm also going to be turning back my roof layer on. As a matter of fact, all the layers that have been turned off, I'm now going to be turning them back on. My A roof, I think that's the only thing I had turned off. Alright, my roof slab is not showing because that wasn't turned off. That was actually hidden. Alright, it's still on, but it is hidden. And so to bring that back, I would have to do a right click, isolate object, and end that isolation. Alright, the roof slab should be back. Things are all in the same color because we have not yet rendered anything or assigned any particular material to anything, and so everything seems pretty much in the same shade. A conceptual perhaps would have been a better view, or shaded with edges perhaps, until material has been added. Alright, and so even from an underside you could realize that the kitchen fixtures are installed, bathroom fixtures are installed, and so on. Alright, I'm going to break here for now, and I'm going to come back with our next tutorial, which will show you how to actually install flooring, and then we'll move on to the foundations. Alright, so I hope your drawings are coming on nicely. Until next video, happy drawings.